Hi everyone, it's Blair. I'm all better. I'm not sick anymore. And I hope you guys are having a fabulous Thursday. We're here to frame up our Wise Craft hand-stitched project. For those of you who are new joining in, I am Blair Stalker of Wise Craft Handmade, and we have been doing an online stitch along for one of the projects in my book, the Wise Craft Quilts book, and this is the English paper piecing project. And so we were going to finish this on Saturday. I got a horrible head cold. It would have been awful to try and even listen to me. So, hi Tamara. So I'm much better today. Thank you guys for bearing with me and being patient. Hi Pam. Yes, I am so much better. Like, I was so bad on Saturday that it would have been one of those colds that you guys would have been afraid of actually catching the germs through the screen. So thank you. Hi Mary. Thanks you guys for joining me. Thanks for being flexible and letting me reschedule. So let me know where you're at with your English paper piecing project, your special snowflakes, and let's get them framed up. I'll wait and give other people a minute or so more to join in. But I have thoroughly enjoyed seeing all of the different versions of these projects that have been popping up. Some people have been doing Halloween themed, holiday or Christmas themed. Some people have been doing really super modern ones, or maybe they've done like really traditional fabrics. Some people have used Liberty of London ones like the one in the book, which, you know, little tiny prints like that I think work really well with this project. So I hope you guys have had fun. I know it's been fun to make another one. This is my third one, and I wasn't sure where I was going to hang this one because I want to hang it with the one that I still have that I made from the book. But now I figured out a place on our stairway going upstairs to the second floor, and I think that because I'm going to hang them on there, that now I need to make another one. So I went from like not thinking I had enough wall space to now it's like I actually need to make another one and frame it. So I think I'm going to make another one. But Mary, you're going to sew yours on a long plane flight. That's perfect. That's so perfect. So the least perfect part about that, in my opinion, is I get so annoyed when people start asking me what I'm doing, because I just want to like get lost in my stitching. But anyway, it's fun to sew on airplanes, I think. So let's get started. I'm going to show you guys all of the steps to get these framed, and if you're unclear, let me know. We'll do this for about the next hour or so, and I'll give you all of the tips that I have figured out. I don't have any like super magic, but Tamara has found English paper piecing addicting. It is truly addicting. It's just so portable and it's easy, and there's something about those really sharp corners. Sewing those really sharp corners together is pretty cool. So I'm going to flip the camera around and put it on my work, and we're going to start going through the steps of framing this up. All right, so you guys just chime in if you have any questions. All right. All right, so here we go. So for anybody that needs to know what we're doing, here is the book, Wise Craft Quilts, that the project is from. And here is the project, actually. So we're going to make a version of this. So if you're new to this, this is the third video. We've been stitching these up. And then if you are interested in a kit, I sell these kits in my shop. You could certainly get all of the individual pieces, or you can just buy the kit, which has all of the pieces in it. And you can go back to the old videos. You can see how we made them, and you can join in at any time. And you can also search under the hashtag and in the group, Wisecraft Stitch Along, and you can see all of the cool versions. So Rosalie has a few more pieces. I think a pillow would be really cool. So Rosalie's thinking she's going to do a pillow. I think that would be really cool. I would love to do one as a pillow. And I actually wish I'd thought of that to begin with. So, but I did not. So here is my finished piece, and I'm going to put a little bit of light on it so that you can see a little better. So here's my finished piece. I did like a non-fussy cut version for the book, and then I also, for the second one, which I gave to Denise Schmidt as a gift, and I've shown some pictures of that. That one was also non-fussy cut. I just took fabric and just wrapped it around the pieces. And so I wanted to do one that was fussy cut. This is all fabric from Beth's White's newest fabric collection for Riley Blake called Juxtaposy. And when I saw this fabric, I thought it had so many fun little motifs that I could cut out and fussy cut. I'd never done a fussy cut one, but I think that I thought this was a really cool one. Hi, Lucy. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining. So anyway, I finished it up, and as I was doing the outer ring, I was kind of thinking that when I went to the frame shop, I went to Aaron Brothers to get my frame. We are lucky to have one right down the street. I thought I wanted to pick up this light blue in here. And so I intentionally made all of this white around here. But I think it turned out great, so I'm pretty happy with it. So because I'm going to be framing it like the one in the book, in my back, my backside's not very neat, but anyway, I leave the papers in it. It just creates a flatter, it creates a flatter piece to frame. You don't have to. If you take the papers out and you decide you want to frame it, I would just maybe give it a little starch or something like that. But that's what mine looks like. And so when I frame mine, I need to make sure that the llamas here in the center are facing the right way. That is my biggest dilemma. So as I said in the book, what I did to frame it is the piece ends up measuring about 15.5 by 15.5 squares. So I went to, as I said, I went to Aaron Brothers and took the piece with me, told them what I wanted to do. They've supplied me with 3 frames now and the things that I need. So if there's an Aaron Brothers near you and you can get to it, I can't recommend them enough. They're just so they're so nice and very helpful. And also if you have a coupon, I mean, they have like buy one frame, get one frame for a penny sale. That's just unbelievable. So anyway, Pam wants to know, some of her papers fell out while she was working. Should she take all of them out or leave them in? You don't have to put them back in. If you've already sewn all of the pieces around the one piece where the paper fell out of the back, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. All right, so here is the frame that I have, and so it's a 20. It's exactly like the one in the book, and I can't get the whole thing in the picture, but it's a 20 by 20 inch frame with just a super simple black border. It's kind of modern, but what's funny is that it has all of these, cutouts for like a whole collage. But this is what size works the best, is a 20 inch by 20 inch frame. So then what I did was, and incidentally, this looks exactly like Gracie, my cat, which I thought was kind of cute. then what I did is I just shopped their stock mat boards. And so as you can see, this is a mat board that I picked. And, you know, mat boards come huge. And this was cut down. They were nice enough to cut it down for me, and they'll cut it down for you too. In other words, you do not have to get this thing framed. You can do it all yourself. So they cut the mat board down for me. The last piece of it that you're going to need are these spacer bars. And you need 4 of them. They usually cut them from like a large piece, but they have like an adhesive edge here that you'll peel off. These go inside of the frame to sort of create a little bit of space between the your project and the glass, because that looks, you know, more professionally done. So these are called spacer bars. So you actually will need 4 of them. You don't need 4 cut 20 by 20. They actually need to be a little bit smaller than 20 by 20, and I'll show you why. And as I said in the book, what I do to put this on, to mount this on the frame, is I actually sew it on. So I need to do some measuring, and so just to find the center. So what I did here is I marked my center at 10 inches. And, but what I'm going to do is actually sew in between where 2 pieces are joined. So you're actually going to, you know, come up from behind the mat with a thread that sort of goes together with this, and you're actually going to sew sort of in between that seam. So I chose seams like this where it would be very inconspicuous. So I measured the center of the project, and then I went up from the center up. It's like 1 inch and, I don't know, like 1.25 inches. So then I measured up whatever it ended up being, and I used this little handy trusty tool and awl to punch through, because even though I'm using a pretty thick tapestry needle with a pointy end, it's not really enough you can't really force it through the mat. So you got to get the hole started somewhere. So I just used an awl, and I'm on my cutting mat here, so I just pressed it through. Sometimes you just kind of have to help it up a little bit. But you need 2, you know, holes. If you don't have an awl, you can also use like a nail, not a huge nail, but something like that. So now that I have those in place, and those are going to go right through there, I want to do probably, I don't know, probably right there. I want it to be, or right there. I want to stitch 4 little spots out around the perimeter. So that seems to be wanting to poke its head up a little bit. So I'll need to sort of mark those as well. So let's do those. So I've sort of got this one lined up here. And then the way I do it is, I think I'll do, maybe I'll do right there. So I'm going to poke this through. Yes, thumbtacks would work great. Thank you, Lucy. Thumbtacks would definitely work. You just have to get the hole started. So I've got that one there. And you just sort of have to make sure you keep aligning everything up. Let's see. Yep, so that one's there. And then I'll do that one there. So if you do 4 around the perimeter, that would be fine. If you need to do more, it's totally okay because this will be pretty inconspicuous. So, and now I'm going to do this one here. So I'm just marking these to kind of get them started. And this one here. So I don't know if you can see those, but now I've got these 4 marked. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more force. And I punched 2 holes kind of side by side like this. And the reason I do is because I tie a knot on the back. And so I'll bring it around here and I'll tie a knot on the back, and then I add a little dab of glue to hold it in place. So that's kind of like, could be overkill, but why not? I don't really plan on taking it out of here. So I'm going to put in the second hole close, but with a tiny bit of space in between each of these. So then I'll do this one. I'm always so nervous cutting through mat board. It feels so like it feels like I'm vandalizing the mat board because they're always cut so neatly in frame shops. And then I'm going to do this one here. So I think those are pretty good. All right. So, and you know, the good news is if these, once you start sewing your piece down, if these are not exactly where you want them to be, it doesn't matter because you're not going to see the holes behind it. So it's totally fine. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is make sure I don't have any of these little threads sticking out, which I always do. So I'm just going to trim all these away. If you have any edges that around the edge of your piece that are kind of poking out, I would add some more glue. I've got some right there. I can add a little bit more glue, and this is just like a basting glue that I've got here. It just takes about 5 minutes or so to dry, but that will. I'm so embarrassed to show you guys the back of my piece because the back of my piece doesn't look very neat. But anyway, as long as the front looks neat, I guess, right? All right. So those are good to go. Make sure that's dry. Let's see if there's any others. I kind of went around when I finished and made sure that this one has a weird little edge here. I'm going to do something with that. So sometimes what I do if there's little edges that don't want to, like little frayed edges where maybe the seam allowance was a little too short, I'll just put some glue on a pin and then just kind of hold it in place. So there's just like a little tiny frayed edge that wants to stick out right there. So I'll just hold that in place. Are you guys making yours for yourself or are you making them for gifts? I'm really curious. I was thinking about that the other night. If you guys are actually making some for gifts, because, you know, I think I might make some for gifts. It was really fun to give one to Denise Schmidt. So she wrote the foreword to my book. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but writing a foreword, a well-written foreword to any book, I think takes time. And it certainly is, you know, a compliment to be asked to write a foreword, but it takes time to do a good one. And, you know, they don't get paid for it. So I wanted to do something really nice for her. So I made one for her out of all sorts of vintage fabrics, which is something that she and I share a love for. And it was really fun these are just sort of wow pieces. But, you know, we can have a wow piece for ourselves too. No worry about that. Oh, it sounds like you guys are making yours for yourself. I love that. I love that. That's cool. All right. So really quickly, just so that everybody realizes that this is okay, I have my little trusty iron set just below the cotton setting, and I'm just pressing it flat just to get everything nice and flat as possible, and it does not harm the papers at all. Somebody had asked that in one of the earlier videos. Oh, might make some. So Yolanda was thinking she might make some as gifts for her 3 daughters. I love that idea. You know, the reason I put this in the book was because a lot of us have special fabrics or significant fabrics that we do not have a lot of. And like a childhood, I don't know, a curtain from a childhood bedroom or a doll's dress or things like that. And so I wanted to design a project that would be something that you could use small special bits of fabric and you know, and have something really pretty and kind of wow. Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's always good to make one. Sandra's making hers for herself to just sort of get the process down, and I think that's a really good idea too. And now you see that it doesn't take a bazillion years to complete it, which I always thought English paper piecing, before I learned it, took a bazillion years to complete. It just looked so intricate and tedious too. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are making yours for yourself. I feel like we as makers make all kinds of things and then we give them away. So I'm glad you guys are keeping yours for yourself. Wouldn't it be fun? I was thinking about this the other day too, to have one place where you hang each one, like where you hang this up and then each season you change it. Like you could have a summer themed one or a spring and then a summer and then a fall and then, you know what I mean? It would be so cool to do that. The fabric that I used, Pam, this is called Juxtaposy. I'll actually add it to my comment below the post, but it's Juxtaposy by Betts White for Riley Blake. It's a quilting cotton, and I believe it is out right now. So you could probably find it at some fabric stores, either online or if you live near a quilting store, they may have it. All right. So let's frame this guy up. All right. I'm so worried I'm going to get those guys twisted. So as I showed you, I have my kind of heavy duty, like serious tapestry needle threaded with what seems like the wimpiest thread ever in relation to the needle, but I use Orfil thread for everything. I am an Orfil artisan, so they don't pay me to say that, but I love this thread. I use it for everything and highly recommend it in all my classes, so I had to say that. So anyway, I've got a double length of thread here, and hopefully this can get me through all of these, but we'll see. So what you're going to do first is bring it up. So I'm coming in through the back. And you're not going to pull it all the way through. So you're going to want to leave like a long tail behind. And then I'm going to go through the center area here, which is where I planned. So I've got it through the center. It's in the seam between these two pieces. So I'm going to go kind of like, gosh, it's like a 16th or maybe a little bit larger between those two seams. I'm going to stick my needle through. I'm just kind of, I want it to sort of go around a couple stitches, but I don't need it to poke through the fabric, and it's not poking through the paper. Then I've come through, and now I'm out at the back. or I'm ready to poke through the back. So I'm poking through the back. I'm going to hold this in place, and I'm going to turn it over so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So when I turn it over, I want to have that pretty flush. So now I'm on the back, and what I'm going to do is tie this. Well, like I said, it's overkill for me. I tie it up a zillion times, but you can tie it 3 or 4 times. Oops. See, that's what happens is I just kind of like pull too hard. So now we're going to have to do that again. So, and I won't pull as hard this time. So I'm going to take some more thread and we'll try that again. It happens. But the thing is that you don't want to use really thick thread because then it'll show through on the front. So it's really important just to use some thin thread. So I'm knotting this just to keep these from like coming off of the needle as I'm kind of manhandling this through. All right, so we're going to come up through the front again. Come in through there. All right. So I've got that through, and now I'm going to go back through the piece and then through the mat board, pull it through, and then flip it over. And I'll be a little bit gentler this time, tying. I'm tying about 4 knots, just to be sure. Cut a tail. Or leave a tail, cut the thread, and here's what we have so far. So that one is secured. So, did I look at all like I know what I'm doing? Because I'm not always sure that I do. Carla, it does have a Swedish look to it, and I think that's why I like it. You know, I live in Seattle, and there is a real, like, huge Nordic population here, and I just love all of the motifs and the flowers of Swedish sort of design and things like that. So I think that's what drew me to this fabric. And Tamara, if you make yours into a table topper, I would love to see that. I think that would be a cool idea too. All right, so we're ready for the next one. And let's see. So I'm gonna, this is where it gets a little bit awkward on camera. All right, so I'm up from the back. So now what I want to do is kind of go through, I think it was right in here. There we go. So I've gone up through there. Now I'm going back down kind of towards the middle of that. Yeah, 50 weight thread is really easy to break. It is easy to break. Kind of the downside of having it so inconspicuous. All right, so now I'm going to tie this one. Hi, Diane. Isn't it cool that we can all like be doing this together? Diane's from Australia. I just think it's so cool that we can all like meet up here. It's very cool. Thank you for sharing your morning with us, Diane. So I'm going to tie knots on this guy. All right. I think I could probably get one more tie out of this one. So we'll try that. All right, so now I'm going to do another side. So now I've got this and this. Now we'll do this. Sorry guys, it's a little bit awkward. There we go. So now I'm up from the back. This one feels like it would work like for holiday too. I don't know why. It's not holiday colors, but it's kind of like, could be like modern holiday colors or something like that. This feels like I might have done it a little bit. I'm going to take another stab at this one. Let's see, I'll pull it over this way. Some of this is a little bit blind, but once you get it, it's in there, so that's good. So let's see. Kind of want to make sure it's pretty flat. All right, and I'm going to go back through, go back into the piece, flip that around. So I wanted you guys to know that I have been so inspired by everything that you've been doing, and having such fun looking at everything and just sharing the enthusiasm of my book, which is so near and dear to my heart with you all. And I've decided that I'm going to start a new stitch along, and we're going to do it together like this. And I was thinking, well, what do you guys think? Because I am thinking, I'm kind of obsessed. If you ever look at my Instagram feed, I'm kind of obsessed right now with Japanese Boro and Sashiko. And so I think that what we'll do next is I would love to do like a tiny little Sashiko project stitch along. So that's what I'm thinking. Stay tuned and I will give you more details as I have them. But I think that sounds pretty cool. I could show you the basics. It's something that I learned when I was working on my book, and I really love it. And it's a perfect sort of relaxing winter project. So please stay tuned, and I will let you know, because I think it's going to be really cool. I just love the whole idea of Sashiko. So I think that one will probably be in November, but I will definitely post some information about it before then, leading up to it, so you guys can get your supplies ready. Oh, good. You guys like it. Excellent. That's excellent. I just think it's like the most relaxing kind of stitching, because there's really not a huge, it's hand stitching, and it is really not about precision. And I can't explain that without kind of showing it to you, but it's really not about like super fussy precision, but yet it's hand stitching, and it makes these beautiful little patterns. So if you guys want to see some of the pieces I've been working on, some Sashiko pieces on Instagram, Rosalie, it's Blair S on Instagram. So, all right, so I have 3 corners, one center. And now I am going to do this last one. I think I've got enough thread on my needle. So I'm going to come in. And from here, what I do is, I'll show you. Because we've got to get it super smooth. All right. Last one. I'm going to cut this needle off, actually. Okay. Yeah, I was going to wait till the beginning of the year to do another stitch along. But honestly, I think that it's fun when it's, well, I don't know. In Seattle, we tend to be nesters. So it's like wintertime and fall when it's kind of drippy and gray outside. That's like the perfect time to, you know, do a hand stitching project. You're not chained to the sewing machine. You might be making gifts for other people, but at the same time, but it's not a time consuming, oh, Pam saw a denim quilt. Oh my gosh, a hexie quilt made from denim using that technique. Yeah, usually Boro, which is spelled B-O-R-O, is usually made from denim, from like layers of denim that have visible mending stitches on them or something like that. And Sashiko is just, well, I call it like big stitch quilting. And it really, it's kind of a mending stitch over the layers of denim, but we will do, you know, a simpler version of it that's just as pretty. It's so adorable. I just finished another one last night and I'm addicted. So here I have it all framed up, or matted up rather. So the last thing I'm going to do, because I want it to be as flat as possible, it doesn't have to be super flat. I mean, but you want it to be flat on the frame, but it doesn't need to be like literally like, you know, laminated to the frame. But I use a little bit of quick drying glue to just make sure everything is glued. And this is where, if you have these papers still in here and the fabric is still basted around it, you can use the papers to put the glue on so that you're not putting it on the fabric. So I'm just going to put a few dots of glue. And this is a tacky, quick drying glue that's going to... I'm going to put thread on these just to hold them down. Whoops. And this just keeps everything nice and standing up straight like good little soldiers in our frame. Takes about 2 or 3 minutes to dry because I'm just using a tiny dot. And Aurifil thread is also really good for holding down your pieces when you stick the glue. All right, put that there. And then the last corners. So after this, you know, has all dried, you could, if you wanted to go back and add a couple more dots of glue, you could. I don't know. I like the fact that you can see that it's kind of 3D in the frame, which is why I like the fact that the glass stands away from the frame a little bit. think these are almost dry. Yay! All right, so I'm going to move this out of the way and we're going to set the frame up. Okay. So here's the frame, and I'm just going to take the backing off. So it sounds to me like everybody thinks that English paper piecing was easier than you thought it would be if this is your first one. Is that true, or is it as fussy as you thought it would be and you just like have a better grasp of how to do it now? I'm just curious. Because I always thought it was going to be super complicated. And when I finally figured it out, I realized that it's actually, you know, it's pretty easy. It's not anything earth-shatteringly hard. So that's the framing pieces, which we'll have to add those with a drill. Take off the back. And take out this mat board. And also, I noticed that there was some lint in this, so I'm gonna wipe all the lint and everything out of this. Okay. All right. So the glass stays in just like this. And the next thing I'm going to do is put in the spacer bars. Now these go, let me show how I can see. So these are going to go along the inside of the frame, and they're in between the glass and the mat. And usually what happens is two of them are slightly longer than the other two when it's a square frame. So you just want to make sure you have the right ones in the right part. So let me just, there we go. Okay. So you can see how she cut two of them. There's a little space in here. It's just so that we can fit all four of them in and they won't overlap each other. So make sure that they do that. She kind of almost forgot that part, but anyway. So let's stick these on. So you just literally peel this off, and then hopefully you guys can see. Put it right up against the frame, and I stick it down. If you can see, whoops, that right in there. I stuck it on the frame. And Carla just saw, you saw the, yeah. There's been so many great images of the English paper piecing things. I love them. I love them. I love seeing them. So yeah, we've been adding some little collages whenever. They just make me so happy. You guys make me so happy. All right, so stuck that one on, and now I'll stick the two side ones. Yes, make sure the frame is deep enough for the spacers and the mat board for sure. And you can check that when you, that's honestly why I did not link to like a frame on Amazon or anything like that, because I don't know without doing a little research exactly what would work. So my suggestion is to, you know, if you can go to a framer or a you frame it and ask them, but yet not pay for them to do it. You want to pay for the supplies, but you want to pay for them to do it. Then you're probably better off. Okay. So I have all 4 of them stuck down. And here is my piece. It looks like all of the corners have dried. Could probably put a little bit, I don't know, I'm going to leave that the way it is. All right, so I'm going to turn this over. I don't have a drum roll, but if I did, I'm going to fit it inside here, making sure that it sits on the outside of the spacer bars. And then what I do, just for really good measure, is I just put a little tiny drop, just a little tiny drop of glue over the knot, just to sort of like make extra duper sure it's never going to come undone. And I just rub it like that just so it won't leak through to the front. So put the backing on. I'm just gonna, these pesky little things that hold everything in place are really annoying. Sorry, I'm out of frame. Oh, Rosalie, you've done Sashiko before? That's cool. Or Boro. I think you're talking about Sashiko. Oh, Susie, yes, thank you, Lucy. Aaron Brothers. So any, you know, we have like you frame it shops here, and also I know like Joann's, some of the larger Joann's has framing shops, but any framing shop can sell you what you need as far as like the frame, the spacer bars, and the mat board, and they can also cut it for you. Like you do not have to get it professionally framed. Like when I did the original project, I took it to Aaron Brothers and said, what should I do? And that they helped me from beginning to end. So, and voila, it's all framed up. I can't even fit it all inside of the thing there, but I'll show it to you at the end. So let me put it over here and I'll flip the camera back around. Hi guys, yay, here you go. It turned out great. There it is, all framed up. I'm so excited to see another finished one, and I really love the fussy cutting. I'm pretty happy with that fussy cutting. That was really my first time fussy cutting for English paper piecing, so I'm pretty happy. All right. So you guys, thank you so much for joining in the stitch along. I am excited to see your finished pieces. Please share them. It's a lot of fun to see them. And I will share a picture of this one framed and hanging on my wall as soon as I can get my husband to paint the wall. We'll see. But if you have any questions, leave them. I promise that I'm going to put all these videos on my YouTube channel now that I am no longer sick. But thank you guys for joining me. If you need to purchase any more templates or anything like that, or the book, it's all down below. And I thank you guys for going along with this project with me. It's been super fun, and I appreciate you all. All right, and I'll give you information in this group about the next stitch along and when it's happening. All right, bye guys. Have a good evening or a good morning. Bye.